What's up everybody, this is Markus, your MTT coach of the Academy of Poker with another short educational video, this time about Donkbets and if we should even use them.
Hi guys, my name is Markus, I'm an MTT coach of the Academy of Poker and we have a great offer for you. Our current Academy of Poker course will only cost you 200 euros, but if you do it the right way, you can even get it for free. All you have to do is hit the link in the description below, get in contact with our managers, and you can start right away. And now, enjoy the upcoming video.
Let's go. First, why could we do it? Of course, we want to extract value. The question is always, will betting out, will leading out versus the preflop aggressor achieve this kind of thing? The possible way to go for it, if it's a board where we hit really good, but our opponent's range should have hit this board pretty well too. So let's say we defended in the big blind and we kind of trapped with like ace queen suited and the flop comes down like ace queen 7. So the chances are on the one side of course a bit lower because we already have an ace queen, but on the other side our opponent should open also some ace x stuff, so therefore the chances are pretty big that he might continue. Even a better example would be, let's say, ace queen 10 and we've defended king jack. So if we lead out here, the chances are good that our opponent has at least like a queen or an ace, even better, maybe even two pairs or like some kind of sets, so we will get some action. But then let's think about, if we check, he will bet anyway. So why should we start betting and showing already interest in the pot, where our opponent then might think, wow, he's already betting out, so he might be pretty strong. I'm gonna be more cautious. When if we check, he thinks, oh, I will just c-bet as normal and I have a pretty good hand, so I want to extract value. And then we can either just call because we aren't afraid of a lot right now, or we check raise and then he thinks, oh, I still have two pair, or I have an ace, so I'm not going to fold my ace versus a check raise here. So keep that in mind. Of course, as I just said, also it could be about protecting. So again, the question is, does this really help us versus our opponent's range if we hit? So let's say we trying to protect our straight when the board is ace queen 10, we have the king jack again and it's the queen 10 of spades, for example. We don't have a spade and the opponent might have the spades. First of all, it's not that likely that the opponent is gonna have two spades for sure. It's part of his range, but it's not like it's his whole range. It's just a small part, as I just said. So it's gonna be difficult for him to always have like ace jack, ace king of spades or whatever. So therefore, do we really need to protect the hand? And again, c-bet frequency of most of the opponents is pretty big, so we can then check raise afterwards. And especially on dry boards, we don't really need to protect. So even if the board pairs, for example, in this scenario, we still gonna have the best hand in so many scenarios. So why really start protecting it too much? Last but not least, what could happen is inducing our opponent. For example, normally when I get like a unreasonable donk bet on specific boards, even if I don't have a hand, I will raise it just to see if the opponent is really interested in it, or if it's just, again, like a random lead out, which a lot of times is the case. But then again, if he has a hand and he might have a note on me that I always raise versus donk bets, he will then just raise it again, so 3-bet me, and he in this case induced me to raise because he let out. As said, it's not going to happen too often, and then again, I will not always just have a pure bluff, but I will also have really strong hands when I do this, just because people that donk a lot, they also are pretty sticky, so they are not folding too much. So therefore, if it happens, I am prepared for this and I know what to do, but you should keep that in mind, that maybe there are some opponents that go totally crazy, so then inducing by donk betting might work. Why not do it? And those reasons are more stronger. I talked about it already a little bit in the last slide, but as first thing, leave the action to the opponent. Leave the action to the opponent. C-bets, as said, they happen pretty regularly. The frequency of that is pretty big, so why steal the chance of the opponent doing it, putting chips in the middle, so we can then check raise, or just call him, where our range will still be pretty wide and he might continue on hands that improve his hand or at least favor his range. Then again, as I also already talked about, how do we react to our opponent raises then? It's really hard, especially when we have weak holding, but sometimes, for whatever reason, people think, oh, let's just lead out and see what he does. And then your opponent raises, and it's like, what do I do now? I have no idea. Should I just fold? But, I already put money in, so maybe I call at least one more time. I'm not sure. But then again, like, why do you even invest money if you have no clue what will happen or what you're gonna do when the opponent starts acting? So when he raises you. So you always have to have the plan here. And last but not least, you want to get some information on your opponent. So sometimes players will check back if they did not hit. Especially, for example, if the flop is ace high and he has like jacks, let's say, he will probably check it back. If we donk and he calls, even though we might have like a weaker ace, we will maybe start thinking, oh wait, if he calls, he probably has an ace too, right? Because what is he really calling? Just calling there too often. So by just checking to him and see him checking back, the chances are higher that he missed that flop, or at least that he didn't like it too much, or maybe he likes it so much that he's checking it. So if he flopped the monster, but still we get some more information. And we rather get those information than donk betting and really not knowing what the opponent is up to now. So to sum it up, to conclude everything, for the long run, as said, in some occasions it does make sense in some way, but for the long run, stick to just not using the donk bet. It will get you in tough decisions, and we wanna avoid exactly those tough decisions. We want to try to keep it easy for us, because especially if we're multi-tabling, it's always easy to exactly know what to do at any time, at any second of the game, than to always need to think about what do I do now? I never had this kind of thing happening here and stuff like that. So we don't want that. And also we will lose money versus good regs who know how to play back in those situations. Even bad players might do the right thing at some time, but good players always know how to react because they train and study those situations. And also, as I said, if you do use them, do it really rarely, and at best only really versus specific opponents. For example, players that almost never c-bet but are still kind of sticky. So if you have your information from the hold'em manager, for example, it will make sense if you see, oh, well, his c-bet frequency is really, really low, but he always seems to go to showdown a lot. So then it could be of use for you to, especially with your stronger holdings, to start donking here. And if he checks back, he might also have weaker holdings more often because he has a wide range of what he opens, and that way you can just get him out even though you did not hit. So bluffs will work more often. And also versus really, really aggressive opponents where you know he doesn't really like to fold, he likes to raise a lot, and in that case, even though it's probably certain that he will c-bet, it might make sense to just lead out into him, especially if you flopped something good, because then he will, his pride and his honor might be tingled in some way, so he wants to continue and wants to push you out in some way, even if he has only like some weak draws or something like that. So that might work. But in all other cases, just make the normal check. Don't do donk betting. Of course, at final tables or when we are 2-3-handed, this is a different scenario, but at a full ring table, this is just the best way to go. Thanks for tuning in. As always, make sure to follow us, leave a subscription, leave a comment, leave a like at our YouTube video if you liked it. Follow us on all our social media, and then you will not forget about, or you will not miss out on any of our other videos. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck at the tables as always. See you in the next video. Have a good day and see you next time. Bye.